conversation in terms of what happens in your staff. 5 commitments. Number 1, when there's a gap between what I expected and what I experienced, I will believe the best. I promise you that. I may not feel the best. I may have all kinds of things go through my mind, but then I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to say out loud to myself, I choose to believe the best. I choose to believe there's something I don't know, and when I discover it, I'll understand why they didn't come through, why they were late, or why it wasn't up to my expectations. I choose to believe the best. I'm telling you, this is a choice you can make. Number 2, when other people assume the worst about you, I will come to your defense. If I'm sitting in a meeting or having a conversation and somebody says, well, you know what? Did you see that? She walked in 20 minutes late. I'm going to say, you know what? There's probably a good reason for that. And you know what the other person will say? Nothing, because that'll be the end of the conversation. I promise, when you create a gap and somebody else brings it up, I will come to your defense. Let me ask you a question before you do the rest. Wouldn't you love to work in a place like that? Yeah, let me ask you something. Doesn't that sound a little bit like Jesus? Right? Okay. If what I experience, number 3, third commitment, these are commitments to each other. I mean, imagine, listen, oh wow. Imagine if every staff culture in the United States of America was characterized by this. If what I experience begins to erode my trust, I will come directly to you about it. You never have to fear the consequence of a meeting I have with someone else about you until I've talked to you first in this organization. Wow. Number 4, when I'm convinced I will not be able to deliver on a promise, I will inform you ahead of time. Wow. Let me tell you what, in my organization, in our churches, one of my leaders comes to me and says, Andy, I know here's what we said, but here's what's going to happen, and they tell me ahead of time. I gain respect for them. I don't lose respect. I think, wow, there's a person who did not want to have a conversation with me, and they had it anyway, and they didn't put it off. There's someone I can what? Trust. Number 5, when you confront me about the gaps I've created, I will tell you the truth. I want to tell you a quick story, and then we'll get you out of here. We have an event called Kid Stuff at our church. Some of you do Kid Stuff. Reggie Joyner, my friend, created Kid Stuff. Yes. We just went monthly about a year ago. We used to do it every week. My daughter, she's 13 now, but when she was 10 years old 3 years ago, she was a dancer at Kid Stuff. And so one night, I picked her up from the rehearsal at our church, drove her home. When I got home with her, my wife said, funny thing happened. I got an email from John Williams tonight. John Williams was the director of Kid Stuff. I got an email from John Williams. The senior pastors, you're going to love this. I got an email from John Williams, and John was apologizing for how poorly the rehearsal went. He said he felt like he wasted the kids' time on a school night and that it wasn't as organized as he thought it was, and he was just apologizing to everyone. I mean, I got home with Allie, and the email's already in our mail, and it went out to all the parents. Now, as a leader, here's how I processed that. John had several options. Option number 1, don't do anything and just see if any parents heard from their kids about how bad the rehearsal went. And then if any parents complain, call those parents and apologize. That's an option. Option number 2, go ahead and email all the option number 2 is email the leaders who were there, because clearly they understood it wasn't a very organized rehearsal. Email the leaders and apologize to them. Option number 3, this is maybe my favorite, is email all the parents, but ask your assistant to remove the Stanley's email address. Because what's the point of confessing to the boss something he doesn't need to know and may never find out anyway? Option number 4 was take full responsibility for what he considered to be a screw up. When I got that email, I was so proud of John. Here's what I did the following Monday. I just totally freaked him out. We're in our big staff meeting. I said, hey, I want to tell you all a story. John, stand up. John had no idea. He stands up. If you knew John, John's standing there. I said, let me tell you all a story. And I start telling this story. And he has no idea where it's going. Is this like a public execution? It's starting to feel like public humiliation, you know? And I told the story and I gave those options. I said, here are his options. Here's what he did. And John, I want you to know, I think that is extraordinary leadership. Because now, not only as your boss, but as a parent who has entrusted my daughter to your program, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if anything ever happens, you will tell me immediately. And I would love for that to characterize our entire organization, because we are going to mess up. We are going to create gaps. There's no way around it. The question is, what do we put there and what do we do once there's a gap? And I'm telling you, the gaps are the opportunities. The gaps are the opportunities. The gaps are the litmus test. The gaps are where you decide what kind of culture you want to create at your church and on your staff. And every single time there's a gap, you